Hey, what's up, everyone? It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with the Valley's most detailed, geeky weather forecast video. We're getting set for the weekend, and we're in the middle of a very nice stretch of weather, and boy, do we deserve it. After days of gloomy weather, things turned around yesterday, and what a spectacular day we had today. But if you are an early morning riser, you encountered some chilly temperatures across parts of the Valley this morning. A couple of our local cool spots, as usual, Salem, and there's a thermometer near Glenmore and Calcutta in southeastern Columbiana County that tends to run a little bit on the cool side. We even had a 44 in Boardman and a 43 in Sandy Lake first thing this morning, up in Mesopotamia, Bloomfield, up in northwestern Trumbull. About 42 before daybreak this morning. All right, I posted about this on social media earlier on in case you missed it. We actually have a pretty good geomagnetic storm set to impact planet Earth over the next couple of days. And this is always kind of a crapshoot when it comes to the Northern Lights. We had kind of what I would say is probably a once-in-a-lifetime thing that happened last spring. If you remember, I think that was during the first week of May. We had an incredible display of the Northern Lights here around our area and at some pretty far south latitudes. That is very unusual, and we would not advertise any sort of repeat of that. That being said, we are going to have a clear sky tonight, and again Friday night. We also have a new moon, just a thin sliver of a moon for a time over the next couple of nights. So moonlight will not be an issue. So if we do manage if luck breaks our way, you might see some color, especially on the northern horizon, especially up near the Lake Erie shoreline over the next couple of nights. But keep your expectations in check. No promises on this. This is not like predicting if it's going to rain in a couple of hours. It's one of those things that's really, really hard to ascertain ahead of time. All right, fall foliage is really starting to pop, although I think the progress of the foliage has been slowed somewhat with our recent weather being kind of damp and kind of mild and muggy with the drier air we now have and with the sunshine that we are experiencing as we speak in the daylight hours. We're going to see the foliage really start going to town, I think, over the next couple of days, and next week we'll bring more of the same. We've got more dry weather with clear nights and low humidity next week after we shake a cold front Sunday afternoon. We'll talk about that Sunday cold front later in the video. But yeah, I think while we have low foliage designated in Ohio and western PA right now, I think this map on a week from now, I should say, will look quite a bit different. Nationwide, already past peak foliage in the Rocky Mountain states. Of course, the Colorado Rockies, the Wasatch Range in Utah, the higher peaks of the Sierra Nevada Mountains in California already past peak. We're at, or even a little past peak in the mountainous areas in New England, including the White Mountains in New Hampshire, the Adirondack Range, the Catskills in New York State. We're probably right at peak, maybe even a little bit past peak over towards Kinzua, where the bridge collapsed in the tornado over 20 years ago in northern Pennsylvania. Some of those really forested areas of northern Pennsylvania. It's like a whole different world through there. The colors really run ahead of many other areas in that part of Pennsylvania. If you've never gotten a chance to check out that part of PA, especially at this time of the year when the foliage is popping, it's worth your trip. It's a long drive to get over there. It's a very rural area, but it's a cool part of Pennsylvania to check out, especially in early fall. All right, it's Thursday, so let's talk drought. Of course, we've had more rain of late, and it's no surprise that especially in northeast Ohio and western PA, we've seen some improvement in the drought designation. It was a week ago that we were under a severe drought designation in a lot of Mahoning County, western Columbiana, parts of Trumbull. Parts of that area, especially kind of the northern half, dropped 2 categories in this week's drought monitor. And it's kind of unusual to see a 1-week drop of 2 categories, but you went from a severe drought to abnormally dry in a place like Austintown, Mineral Ridge, Niles, over towards Hubbard as well. We're still in a moderate drought in Salem, Hanoverton, heading down towards East Liverpool as well. But certainly the recent rains have helped. Be interesting to see what next week's maps look like, with not much rain coming our way in the next handful of days. And speaking of not much rain, I showed you the national radar last evening, and it's basically the same thing again this evening. Hardly a drop of rain in the lower 48 states this evening. A couple of showers in far southern Louisiana over the swamps. A couple of showers over the Florida Peninsula. Maybe a sprinkle or a shower up towards the Twin Cities in Minnesota. That's about it. The rest of the country is quiet. We have 2 cold fronts heading our way. The first one on Friday will be unproductive. You won't know this thing's coming through. It'll come through with little fanfare late in the day Friday. Beautiful, spectacular, perfect day Saturday. Not a cloud in the sky for most of the day. The more interesting front is Sunday. We'll get off to a dry and sunny start Sunday morning, but as this front heads our way Sunday afternoon, some bumpy weather may ensue. We'll talk about that momentarily, but it's kickoff 2 p.m. At the Ice Castle homecoming weekend at YSU. Indiana State coming to town, and we're looking for a kickoff temperature of around 70. And again, you'll be hard-pressed to find a cloud in the sky for a lot of the day on Saturday. Go Penguins. It's going to be just a beautiful day weather-wise. Now, we have a possible setup for strong storms on Sunday. We have a fast-moving cold front heading our way, and we're going to have a fair amount of energy aloft. The winds aloft are pretty impressive looking. I think it's a question of instability on Sunday. In other words, will there be enough of a recovery in terms of temperatures and especially dew points to make the atmosphere unstable enough to get some thunderstorms up and running? That's an open question at this point. It's October. It's going to be a big ask to get those dew points back up above 60 after a few very dry days. So that's one thing that would be kind of a strike against severe weather on Sunday. But any thunderstorm that does manage to get up on its feet, if we see those dew points, recovering pretty nicely by midday on Sunday, there could be a couple of rowdy storms around. I wouldn't be surprised if the Storm Prediction Center in the middle of the night tonight, when they put out their Day 3 outlook, has a marginal risk somewhere kind of where I drew the yellow area here. Eastern Ohio and especially Western PA and Western New York. I think overall the highest severe weather risk may be around and east of I-79 in Pennsylvania and up into the Buffalo area, maybe over towards the Finger Lakes as well. But that's just my feeling right now, given today's data. We'll have an update on that, of course, coming up on Friday and into the upcoming weekend. So after that, really not much not many interesting things, I should say, to talk about next week. It is going to be a kind of a snappy week temperature-wise next week in the wake of that front. We're going to spend a lot of the time with highs in the 60s next week. It is the second week of October. That's about par for the course. So, again, nothing unusual. But it'll be a pretty cool and pretty dry week overall, and this is a pretty dry forecast, looks like, for the next couple of weeks. Have a great rest of your Thursday night. I'll see you back here on Monday after the weekend for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, and up until Sunday, as we get more data in on the possibility of storms Sunday afternoon, we'll do some more updates on social media and, of course, across all our newscasts. Have a great night, everyone.